Okay, so I'm starting this week with this lovely yellow, and I'm going to start by making a magic loop, and into that loop I'm going to chain 2. Okay, so that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, and into our loop we're going to make 8 double crochet. Just get my stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then I'm going to pull the loop closed, and I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet. Okay, so that's round 1 complete. So there's only 4 rounds to this square, so it's a nice, quick and easy square to do. Okay, so round 2, I'm going to chain 2. Again, this doesn't count as a stitch. So in the same stitch, so that's the stitch I've still got my stitch marker in. I'll just take that out for now. Okay, so in the same stitch we're going to make a puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook and pull up a loop. Okay, so you're going to pull up a loop to the height of your double crochet. We're going to pull up a loop 5 times. So that's 1, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop 2, again 3, 4 and 5. So 1, 3, 4, 5. So you have 11 loops on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through all your loops, and then chain 2. Okay, so they're going to be really nice thick puffs with those 5 yarn overs. Okay, so after you chain 2, we go to the next stitch around and we'll do the same. So you're going to do 5 yarn overs, pull up a loop, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all the loops and then chain 2. So we've got these lovely thick puffs coming up. And the same again in the next stitch. So puff stitch, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. That's 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then yarn over and pull through all loops and chain 2. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that for the round. So by the end of the round you'll have 8 puffs. So I'll do that and I shall see you in a moment. Okay, so I finished that final puff and I've done another chain 2. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first puff stitch. So I'll slip stitch that shut. Okay, and now we're complete with the yellow, and for our next round we're going to join a new colour. So I'm just going to cut that off, and I'm going to pull that out. So you've got a really nice puffy middle there. Okay, so I'm going to grab my next colour, and I'm going to join the raspberry. It's a lovely raspberry pink. And I'm going to join it into the top of any puff stitch. I want to go into that one. Okay, I'm just going to pull that through and chain 2. Okay, so that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. and in this same puff I'm going to make a puff stitch. So exactly the same way as before, yarn over and pull up a loop 5 times. 3, 4 and 5. So I've got 11 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all loops and then chain 2. So I'll just grab my stitch marker and put it into the top of that puff, which is there. Okay, so this is another round of puffs, but we're also going to be making puffs into the chain spaces. So it's going to be puff, chain 2, make a puff in the chain space, chain 2, puff into the top of the puff, chain 2, puff into the chain space, all the way round. So in our first round we had 8 puffs. In this round we're going, not our first round, our second round we had 8 puffs, and in our third round we're going to have 16. Okay, so into the chain space, make a puff, 3, 4, 5 yarn overs. It's really easy to lose count of these yarn overs if you're not concentrating. That, and chain 2. And now I'm going to make a puff into the top of the puff. 1, 2, 3. Oops, my yarn's caught on something. 3, 4 and 5. Yarn over and pull through all the loops and chain 2. Okay. That was into the puff, so now we make a puff into the chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yarn over, pull through. Okay, and then chain 2. Okay, so I'm going to carry on that, and I shall see you when I get back to the beginning of the round. Okay, so I've reached the end of the round, and I've done my last puff and chain 2. And now I'm going to complete the round by slip stitching into that first puff, and then you can cut off this colour. So that's the end of round 3. Round 4 is our final round, and I'm going to join lovely green in here, and join your green into any chain space. Okay, so I'm just going to chain 1 to secure that. Your chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. So in the same chain space I'm going to make a single crochet. Okay, and I'm going to make another single crochet in the same space. So for this round you're going to make 2 single crochet in each chain space and 1 single crochet in the top of each puff. Okay, so we need to have 11 single crochet. So we've done our first 2, so I'm going to carry on round, 1 in the top of the puff and 2 single crochet in the chain spaces until we have 11. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Okay, so in the next space, which is in the top of the puff, we need to make our corner. So all in that same stitch you're going to make a single crochet, a double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet and single crochet. Okay, so all that in the same stitch, so we get that bump there, which is going to be our corner. Okay, so after that we're going to make another 11 single crochet. Sorry, that was just my dog shaking. Okay, 11 single crochet. So we start in the next chain space, so 2 in there, 1 in top of the puff, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So our next space even is in the top of the puff, and into the top of there we're going to make a single crochet. So this is another corner, so a single crochet, then a double crochet, chain 1 and a double crochet and a single crochet, and then that's our second corner made. So now we go on to the third side and another 11 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. And now we're going to make our next corner again in the top of the puff, so all in that same stitch, single crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet and a single crochet, and then we're going to make another 11 single crochet. So into the next chain space for your first one, so 2 single crochet into there, into the top of the puff. Oops. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, and then our final space is in the top of that last puff, and we're going to do our last corner. So all into the top of that puff, make the single crochet, double crochet, chain 1, a double crochet and a single crochet, and then you're going to join into with a slip stitch that first single crochet of the round, and there we have it. I'm going to cut off that yarn, and now you can weave in all your ends, and there is your week 20 square. So now you can whip stitch this onto the corner of your main piece, and I shall be back in a second to show you that. Okay, so this square is going to fit between your arrow stitch and your colourwork diamond stitch. Okay, so you're going to whip stitch it like you did the row squares in week 11, and 1 whip stitch to each single crochet row, so it'll be 1 stitch to 1 stitch, but the double crochet rows on the other panels you're going to need to use 2 stitches for every double crochet row. Okay, so in that double crochet row it'll match up to 2 stitches down the side, and just whip stitch it all the way around the 2 sides. And once you've done that, you can cut off and weave in your ends. Okay, and I shall see you next week for the next stitch. Bye for now.